Every town has its secrets, but here in Enterprise, Alabama, they're not just buried in the past. They're etched in stone. We're standing among more than 2,300 graves, each one a quiet witness to a story that nearly slipped away. For years, time and weather tried to erase them. Names faded, dates softened, lives blurred into silence. But not long ago, something changed. These stories were gathered, preserved, and brought back into the light. Because this isn't just a cemetery, it's a library. And for the first time in over a century, its pages are being read again. From the road, Enterprise City Cemetery feels familiar, like so many southern burial grounds. Magnolia trees stretching wide, weathered angels standing watch. Rows of marble and granite holding steady against time. But there's something deeper here, something easy to miss if you're just passing through. This place has anchored the town for generations, a quiet cornerstone at the edge of Main Street. And yet, for a long time, its stories were slipping away. That changed when a group of Boy Scouts, Troop 150, took on something most people wouldn't even consider attempting. They didn't just visit, they worked. For hundreds of hours, they walked these grounds like caretakers of memory. They photographed every stone, recorded every name, captured every inscription before it disappeared for good. All 2,300 of them. It wasn't just documentation, it was restoration. A way of saying, these lives still matter. To understand this cemetery, you have to step back into the world that built it. In 1896, Enterprise was barely more than an idea. Just 250 people and a stretch of hopeful ground. Then came the railroad. In 1898, the Alabama Midlands Railroad arrived like a thunderclap of opportunity. And just like that, everything changed. Within a decade, the population surged to nearly 4,000. You can feel that moment here. Walking through the older sections, you start to see names tied to that exact turning point. People who lived through the transformation. Men who may have stood along the tracks, watching that first train roll in, knowing their quiet town would never be the same again. They built the homes, opened the shops, took the gamble. And when their time came, they were laid to rest right here, becoming part of the town's foundation in a different way. But growth doesn't come without challenge. In 1915, disaster hit, not with fire or flood, but with something much smaller, the boll weevil. It tore through the cotton fields, destroying nearly 60% of the crop. For a town built on cotton, it was devastating. The kind of loss that ends stories. But Enterprise didn't end. Instead, it adapted. Farmers shifted to peanuts, a risk at the time, but one that paid off. By 1917, Coffee County became the leading peanut producer in the nation. And in one of the most unexpected twists in American history, the town built a monument. Not to a hero, not to a leader, but to the very insect that forced them to change. They called it the Herald of Prosperity. Standing among these graves, you realize some of the people here lived that exact moment. They lost everything and chose to start again. By the time we got here, I'd cooled off a bit from earlier stops, but I'll be honest, I was still running low on social battery. The volunteers running the tour were kind, passionate, clearly invested in the stories here, and I did my best to be present. but every now and then I drift away from the group just to walk on my own for a minute. Sometimes that's how you hear a place better. The tour itself was what you'd expect. Lots of standing, listening, learning. Good information, just slow. And my legs? Well, they had opinions. But in those quiet moments when I stepped away, that's when it clicked. The way the sunlight filtered through the trees. The way certain names repeated generation after generation. The way some stones stood tall, while others leaned, worn, and tired. It didn't feel like a tour anymore. It felt like being handed pieces of a story and being trusted to put them together. Not every part of the experience was perfect. There's something about structured tours when you're already tired, it can feel a little heavy. Like your body's there, but your brain is trying to catch up. And I definitely had moments where I was more focused on staying upright than soaking everything in. But even that became part of the story. Because places like this don't require perfection from you. They don't need you fully on. They just need you, present enough to notice. As you move deeper into the cemetery, another pattern starts to emerge. Military markers, rows of them. Confederate soldiers, World War I, World War II, generation after generation, answering the same call in different times. There's a continuity here, a thread of service that runs quietly through the entire cemetery. And nearby, the Wall of Freedom stands as a reminder of that cost, listing those who gave their lives across multiple wars. This isn't just a resting place. It's a record of duty, of sacrifice, of people who carried something bigger than themselves. So what do 2,300 graves really reveal? Not just names, not just dates. They reveal choices. The choice to build something from nothing. The choice to adapt when everything falls apart. The choice to serve, again and again, across generations. This cemetery doesn't shout its story. It waits for you to slow down and listen. If you've ever visited a place that made you stop and really feel the weight of history, I'd love to hear about it. Those are the places that stay with us. This place is more than a cemetery. It's a chronicle of a town that refused to disappear. A place where resilience isn't just remembered, it's proven. And thanks to a group of determined Boy Scouts, those stories aren't fading anymore. They've been preserved, etched not just in stone, but in memory again. Because history doesn't always live in museums. Sometimes it waits quietly in the places we almost overlook. And all it takes is someone willing to read it.